Joining us today is Aidan Mackey, host of the Conservative Roundup podcast and candidate for the National Council of the Conservative Party of Canada. Thank you for making the time. So, can you tell me why you are running for the National Council of the Conservative Party of Canada?
So as you know, I'm looking to run for council because we do need to have a brand new slate of directors. I think, in my opinion, here in Ontario, I think a lot of the grassroots they really feel left out in decisions made by national council, and we really do need to have, as you said, fresh face. Obviously, I'm young, I'm energetic, I've have a little bit of experience, so I'm hoping that I can attract some new voters, maybe some new younger people to the party, to grow our message and to grow it in possibly high schools or colleges, universities, right? Another thing, I do want to bring back common sense. I know that's a that some people don't have these days, but so I'm regards to that. And then also, I really do feel that members have really been left out by national council, and I do want to give them a voice back at the table for all members, not just in Ontario but across the country.
Okay, so what exactly do you seek to accomplish if you are elected policy-wise?
Well, as you know, I am not running as an MP yet, so I don't have to I don't have to get into all the policies that the leaders put out and the members in the grassroots convention. But as you know, so being at the convention right now, there is a possibility that an election could be called any day. And obviously, with April coming up soon enough, we do have to look at redistribution. And so with redistribution comes new ridings and how that will be sorted out, right? So with incumbents or with grassroots, so it's all going to come down to, with one of the policies I think is, do we let incumbents choose the ridings where they run, or do we open up nominations altogether for anybody to run, right? So I'm looking further into that and kind of getting input in as to how members would like to see that be brought forward. So I am putting that policy out in a few days. So there is that, and also with convention, like, well, you look at, for example, possibly even Oxford or even nominations in the past, people have not been happy that candidates haven't been allowed to have their voices heard when it comes to council meetings. So I am looking to bring a fresh perspective and an open mind to hearing candidates out and really getting the ball rolling on election readiness whenever the rip may drop. So I do really want to get down to getting nominations open to get our candidates in place.
Okay, and do you have like a place where you can find your platform? I know you said you're not running as an MP, but you are running an election, so technically you would be running and campaigning for something. So do you have a platform? Is it available online?
So actually, so in about a week or two from now, I'm going to have a web page up. So it'll have all my contact info. So it'll have my email, my phone number, a place for anybody to ask any questions. And then obviously policies will be there as well. So anybody will be free to check that out. And I will have a link for that in the coming days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so could you give us some more details on how this campaign will run?
So as for how it'll run, so right now, my goal is to try and get as many signatures and donations as possible to make the entrance fee to be able to run. So I have to have those in by July 7th. And so we are on track to hit both targets, which would be perfect. So I just have to get those over to the returning officer. And if I were to be approved as a candidate, then I would be on to become an official candidate for the National Council of the Conservative Party of Canada for Ontario. So from that point on, I would need to talk to as many delegates and boards as possible. So the only people that can vote for me at the convention is the Ontario delegates. So the board members that have been selected as delegates from only the Ontario EDAs. So Alberta or Saskatchewan, or so they can't vote for it. Just Ontario. Think of it as Ontario provincially, but nationally in a sense. So I'm trying to get as well. I mean, it'll be up to about 1,100 or about 1,200 voters possibly. So my message is to try and talk to as many people as possible and answer as many questions and to get to see as many faces as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a vacant seat in Durham, and which is where I believe, according to Twitter, you are from.
Yep.
So why are you not seeking the Conservative nomination there? Because whenever you said there was a big announcement coming, I was almost certain that it was going to be something to do with Aaron O'Toole's resignation. And then I saw that and I was kind of surprised. I wasn't sure. So could you explain to us why you decided not to seek the nomination there? Is it like an age standpoint or?
Well, I have been asked that a few and people, typically it's the question is, do you want to top Pierre's record as the youngest MP? I think I still have a few years to go. I do need to get to university first, more experience, and hopefully with this run, I may get some more under my belt. But in regards to that, I think Aaron's done a great job, and I'm really happy to support Jamil Javani, who's looking to replace Aaron O'Toole here in Durham. And so I'm on respectively on Jamil's. I'm supporting Jamil in his bid. But for now, I'm I still got a few years to go. But it's definitely that's something going through my head. But it's just not the right time.
Okay, so are you receiving support from your friends and family in this run?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been so very blessed and grateful to have a lot of support from my family and my friends. I think a lot of people have asked me how they can vote and how they can help support me. And unfortunately, as only delegates, I mean, if I could have my family vote for me, that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, this time around, I can't because they aren't delegates, unfortunately. But so I've had so many messages and emails and texts coming in and phone calls wishing me the best and looking for people looking to help me as much as I can. So I really am appreciating all the messages coming in.
Okay. So this isn't a formal election campaign, as you're not running for a seat in the House of Commons or the legislature. So how will you try to get out the vote within the Conservative Party of Canada? Because you said try and get nominations and donations, but you're going to want to try also to convince the delegates. So will that be taking place at the convention in September, or is it going to be a lengthy campaign meeting with people, etc.?
Well, my goal is, so obviously, as you mentioned, yes, so I am going to try and talk to as many people at the convention as possible from Ontario. I do want to try and set up some events as well to try and reach some local and obviously some other boards in the surrounding area here. And I mean, in Durham, obviously, I want to try and connect with as many regions as possible. But I am looking at trying to get as many, I mean, even Zoom meetings set up with each board, if that's even more efficient. Even because, I mean, Thunder Bay is a little bit of a longer drive, so I would have to, it wouldn't be as time efficient if I did that. So hopefully I do want to connect with some of the boards that are a little bit further away over Zoom possibly, or even in person if I could. That would be fantastic. So right now I'm going to try and reach out to each president or delegates committee and try and talk to as many people as possible and answer any questions that they might have.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners before we go?
Well, I think we are at a pretty time sensitive environment here in Canada, obviously with possible elections. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, could be a month from now, 2 years from now, 2025, right? So I think as we come down to this race, we're going to look at the right leadership that we need on national council. And I'm really hoping that I can be the voice for members that have been possibly even left out or even unify some voices in our party. And I really do want to help and get out the vote and help get as many conservative victories as possible. And if national council lets me do that, then I'll be the happiest guy ever.
Okay. And one more thing before we go. So you mentioned that since you're not an MP, you can't really have this, but you are deeply involved in conservative politics. So the House just has risen for the summer, but there's been a lot of different talk. I know it's not big talk coming from opposition leaders, but and definitely not MPs, but just people and citizens who think it is unfair for MPs to get so little work time. Like they go 2 weeks in the House and they do 2 weeks at constituency or whatever. So do you believe that the House should sit like in the summer, like from July to August or August to September, or at least just take a couple weeks off and continue their regular sitting schedule through the summer?
Well, as you know, there is a lot of time sensitive. There's a lot of different crises going on. Obviously, the cost of living crisis. I think they do need to be addressed further. Possibly I would be. Well, I'd be interested if I were to be an MP. I mean, I don't have much say on this, but if I were to be an MP, I would definitely want to push for maybe a week or two more time to try and address as many problems as possible. Maybe that's just the problem solver in me, but I would. I mean, technically it's not up to me, but I would want to see maybe a little bit more debate going on in the House between the government and all the opposition parties.
Okay. Thank you very much, Aidan Mackey, host of the Conservative Roundup podcast and candidate for the National Council of the Conservative Party of Canada. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
you.
Nolan. It's great to be here.
Yeah.